famous sounds fun in theory, right? All eyes on you, being recognized in the street, and probably being pretty wealthy too. But the reality is, for a lot of people, fame sucks and they wish that they never got that kind of notoriety. So many celebrities have experienced this, so let's talk about it as we count down the top 10 actors who hate being famous. At number 10, Harrison Ford. We all know Harrison Ford as the incredible actor who played Indiana Jones and Han Solo. Harrison Ford rose to fame through portraying those iconic characters and many others, but apparently all the fame he's received is something that Harrison himself isn't a fan of. Turns out the actor hates being famous. In a 2010 interview, Harrison spoke out about his rocky relationship with fame, saying how greatly it has affected his life and in such a negative way. The actor has said that his celebrity status has cost him privacy in his life, saying, quote, "There's nothing good about being famous. You always think if I'm successful then I'll have opportunities. You never figured the cost of fame will be a total loss of privacy. That's incalculable." End quote. The actor also talked about how unrealistic the expectations of fame are, saying, quote, "What a burden that is for everybody. It was unanticipated and I never enjoyed it. You can get the table you want in a restaurant, it gets you doctor's appointments, but what's that worth? Nothing." End quote. Harrison ended things by saying that he's only in it for the money, clarifying that acting is his job and that he's not in it for the notoriety. At number 9, Kristen Stewart. Twilight star Kristen Stewart has been acting since she was a kid, but her breakout role came about when the first Twilight film was released. After that, everyone was obsessed with Bella Swan and the actress who played her, but with that obsession and fame came the burden of having such notoriety, and Kristen has spoken out about her struggles with being in the public eye and how negatively it has affected her. In a 2015 interview with Harper's Bazaar, Kristen opened up about her relationship with fame, where she talked about how being famous is, quote, "the worst thing in the world," end quote. In the interview, Kristen commented on how at the beginning of her career she used to feel utter panic when getting harassed by paparazzi because she felt a loss of control and that she had to learn how to adapt to her surroundings over time. She continued to say, quote, "Having that much human energy thrust at you, then being critically analyzed is obviously disarming. Control issues make me so nervous. It's not knowing what's going to happen. So what people were seeing was what happens when you are terrified. My palms sweat, my knees shake, I don't think I can stand in my heels, I'm breathing heavily, I feel nauseous, I'll be so nervous, and then my body creates something to calm me down and I get so tired." The actress also commented on how she thinks fame can be stupid, saying, quote, "Fame is the worst thing in the world, especially if it's pointless. When people say, I want to be famous, why? You don't do anything." End quote. Before we carry on talking about celebrities who don't like being famous, why not leave a like on this video to help support the channel, and while you're at it, hit that subscribe button to see more videos like this one. At number 8, Zack Galifianakis. During a 2014 press conference for the movie Birdman, actor Zack Galifianakis spoke out about his feelings on fame and said that being a celebrity is dumb. This came after the film's cast talked about the notion of being a public figure and having fame, a theme that is consistent throughout the film. When the actor was asked about blurring the lines between performance and reality in the film, Zack began to speak about his own experiences being a celebrity and how he doesn't like it. Zack said, quote, "It's dumb, I'm not interested in it. I like to be an actor and that's it. The blurred lines are, I think, man-made. I think celebrity is a man-made thing. It's not innate in us. We have people telling us we should pay attention to these people for the wrong reasons, their personal lives and that stuff. I'm just being honest. I would rather do my work and go home and watch Lifetime or something." End quote. At number 7, Robert Pattinson. Robert Pattinson has had a rocky relationship with fame, and it all started after his career was boosted after the success of the Twilight franchise. Robert has said in interviews that his first unpleasant experiences with fame came from fans, saying that some of them were very intense. In one interview, the actor recalled some creepy run-ins that he has had with fans, as he said, quote, "Suddenly, everywhere I went, people thought they already knew me. They look at a photo of me and think they have a special relationship, a friendship, an affair with me, someone they haven't met their whole life." End quote. Coming out of his initial rise to fame, Robert has said that since gaining so much notoriety, he no longer feels like he has any privacy in his life, as he said, quote, "People were like, it's fine, who cares, they're just photos. They'll say, just live your life, but that's not life for me, if someone's observing it." End quote. To have the world watching you at all times feels like a huge burden, so I don't know how these celebrities do it. At number 6, Megan Fox. During a 2013 interview with Esquire magazine, Megan Fox spoke out about the way people view celebrities in the media and how it's unfair that celebrities get treated so poorly by the public and are just expected to take it without complaints. Throughout her career, Megan has been sexualized by Hollywood, and people have made comments about her appearance and personality, some of those comments being quite negative, and Megan has said that it's not fair that she and many other celebrities are just expected to treat this criticism as normal or just part of the job. In the interview, Megan said, quote, "I don't think people understand. They all think we should shut the F up and stop complaining because you live in a big house or you drive a Bentley, so your life must be so great. What people don't realize is fame, whatever your worst experience in high school when you were being bullied by those 10 kids in high school, fame is that, but on a global scale, where you're being bullied by millions of people constantly. Not everyone understands that's the deal." End quote. Being exposed to all of that negativity and not being able to get away from it can be very taxing, so I can understand why this would make someone hate their fame. At number 5, Macaulay Culkin. Former child star Macaulay Culkin was brought into the spotlight at a very young age. Very early on in his career, the actor reached his peak after the release of Home Alone in the 90s. After that, Macaulay continued to have a pretty steady career. It wasn't until he reached the age of 16 that he decided to take a step back from fame. After getting emancipated from his family, Macaulay went a little sideways and started getting himself into trouble. After getting into trouble with the law and abusing illegal substances, the actor found himself back in the spotlight again, but this time for his fall from grace. Everyone knew him as the adorable child star from the 90s, and soon his image became tarnished. It wasn't soon after his public downfall that Culkin took a step back from Hollywood once again. Since then, he's decided to lay low and not gather too much attention. He's since referred to his fame as a blessing and a curse, as it got him a lot of success as a child, but he just couldn't handle the fame. Coming into that so early on in your life must really impact the way you grow up, and I couldn't imagine how it would feel to have to deal with the pressures of being a public figure while also trying to come into your own as an individual. At number 4, Daniel Radcliffe. We all know Daniel Radcliffe for his iconic role as Harry Potter, but what we have neglected to realize is that he's been in the public eye since he was a child, and that put a lot of pressure on him from a young age. Kicking off his career as the boy wizard in 2001, he made a lot of money as a star of one of the most successful film franchises of all time. Though he became very rich and successful, Radcliffe has also had his share of scrutiny from the public. All the money and fame that he has acquired can't take away from the struggle Daniel had with fame since being a child. Speaking out about those struggles, Daniel has said, quote, "People will boo you even if you're a child." End quote. Daniel isn't on social media because he chooses to keep that kind of negativity out of his life, and these days things seem to be better for the actor, but for a while he wasn't happy with his place in Hollywood and hated the fame that he has. At number 3, Jake Lloyd. Sometimes all it takes is one bad experience to change our perspective on a situation. This is pretty much what happened with actor Jake Lloyd after starring as young Anakin Skywalker in Star Wars: The Phantom Menace. Jake was only 8 years old when he started the film, and you would think that as a kid he would bask in the fame he was receiving. So many kids these days want to be famous, and Jake probably thought the same thing, but when the praise for the film turned to hate towards the actor, that's when he reconsidered his place in Hollywood. The actor said that this experience turned his childhood into a quote, "living hell." End quote. Jake recalled how kids would make fun of him at the time and how insanely busy he was back then, having to do up to 60 interviews a day. He eventually decided to retire from acting because he was no longer able to fit in, and it took a big toll on him. Jake's case here is a perfect example of the darker side of being a celebrity and fame that most people don't acknowledge enough. At number 2, Daniel Craig. Daniel Craig is the latest person to take up the role of James Bond, but apparently the actor wishes he never took up the role. The actor is very vocal about how much he hates playing James Bond, and when promoting the movie Skyfall in 2012, he really let his feelings about the role be known, as he said, quote, "I've been trying to get out of this from the very moment I got into it, but they won't let me go. I've agreed to a couple more." End quote. He has a love-hate relationship with the fame that this film franchise brought him, and he's fed up with the whole thing at this point. Back in 2015, during the release of the next Bond movie Spectre, Daniel got even more heated when talking about his famous role when he said, quote, "At this moment, no, I have a life and I got to get on with it." End quote. He also went on to say that he would, quote, "rather break this glass and slash his wrists than be in another Bond movie." It looks like Daniel just wants to take a step back from all of this for a while after being so immersed in it for so long. And finally, at number 1, Daniel Day-Lewis. If you're familiar with who actor Daniel Day-Lewis is, then you know that this is one incredibly talented guy. Well, unfortunately, Hollywood won't be able to bask in his talent any longer, as he made the decision to quit Hollywood and has retired from acting. This came after he was left feeling underwhelmed after making the movie Phantom Thread. In this film, Daniel played a fashion designer who made couture dresses for people in high society. To prepare for this role, he became an apprentice to the costume designer for the New York City Ballet and even recreated created a Balenciaga dress. Needless to say, he prepared heavily for this role. When all was said and done, however, Daniel was left feeling sad and underwhelmed with the film. When he explained his feelings towards his retirement, it almost sounded as though he's lost the enjoyment of acting, as he told sources, quote, "I've been interested in acting since I was 12 years old, and back then, everything other than theater, that box of light, was cast in shadow. When I began, it was a question of salvation. Now I want to explore the world in a different way." End quote. Daniel is now living a more private life away from Hollywood and is happy to give up his fame for a more fulfilling life away from the spotlight and the hype of Hollywood. Now, before I wrap things up for today, I want you guys to tell me if you would ever want to be a famous Hollywood star. Do you think that you could handle the fame, or would you rather live a simpler life? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Anyways, that's it for me. I've been your host, Bria Room, and until next time, stay safe, make good choices, and stay groovy, friends.